is actually a para jumbles. Okay, I would say it's not a very tricky para jumbles. Okay, it's not a very tricky para jumble. It's kind of an easy. Okay, so but the main advice that I'm gonna give you here is that please don't connect the word. Okay, connect ideas. Okay, in case you're gonna connect the words, you're gonna kind of make a mistake here. Okay, so the first step is actually to find the starter. So our actions will be a source of pride for our descendants if they sustain a civilization intelligent enough to endure for trillions of years. Okay, so it could be a starter. Okay, but again, it does not kind of provide us with the topic sentence. Okay, now the dark and frigid conditions that will result from the accelerated expansion of the universe will likely extinguish all forms of life 10 trillion years from now. Okay, so this could be a starter. Okay, it gives us the topic idea also. Okay, the prospects for life in the distant future are gloomy. Okay, most likely to be a starter. Okay, or let's say, and we can say one thing is that it should be followed by two. Okay, which elaborates the gloomy prospects. Okay, so anyhow we're gonna come until then. So until then cannot be the starter. Okay, so out of the three, in case if I have to see, okay, then I would see the three is actually most probably the starter. Okay, because after reading the three and two, we can see that the two is kind of giving you the example of what is being presented here. Okay, now these two sentences are kind of talking about a negative. Okay, and this is talking about a source of pride. Okay, and then this until then. Okay, so the until then kind of gives us an transition from a negative to positive. Okay, so can we see somewhere that the three is most probably the starter? Okay, so the prospects for life in the distant future are gloomy. Okay, so this actually introduces us to the topic idea. Okay, that the prospects for life in the distant future are gloomy. Now gloomy is something which is a negative. Okay, and then the dark and frigid conditions. Okay, that will result from the accelerated expansion of the universe will likely extinguish all forms of life 10 trillion years from now. Okay, so most likely the starter is 3, which is, should be followed by 2. Okay, which elaborates upon the gloomy prospects. Okay, that the dark and frigid conditions that result from the accelerated expansion of the universe will likely extinguish all forms of life. That is, the prospects for life in the distant future are gloomy. Okay, why? Because it will extinguish all forms of life 10 trillion years from now. Okay, now until then. Okay, now then in this fourth, okay, refers to the 10 trillion years from now. Okay, so this is saying that it will going to extinguish all forms of life 10 trillion years from now. Until then, okay, so until then we could cherish the temporary gifts that nature has blessed us with. So it's kind of positive. Okay, and until then is actually giving us a kind of smooth transition. Okay, okay, so that is the case. Okay, so until then, so actually then is actually a time period which is a 10 trillion years from now. Okay, we could cherish the temporary gifts that nature has blessed us with. Okay, now our actions will be a source of pride for our descendants if they sustain a civilization intelligent enough to endure for trillions of years. Okay, so we need 4 before the 1 because the fourth is actually giving us the smooth transition. Okay, and until then in sentence 4 refers to the time when all forms of life will likely to be extinguished, that is the 10 trillion years from now. So anyhow, the 2 and 4 are related to each other. Hence, the sequence is a 3 2 4 1. So comparatively an easy para jumble.